Yo, those of y'all that have been following me and the Texas judicial reform movement that we have going on might have heard the name Judge Barbara Stalder out of the 280th District Court in Harris County. Now, the 280th District Court in Harris County is a sole protective order court. That's all they hear is protective orders. And Barbara Stalder was the judge in that 280th protective order court. Investigative reporter Wayne Deltrofino that did multiple stories on her corruption and how she was violating people's rights by giving lifetime protective orders.
Voters listened to our warnings this spring. Accusations Judge Stalder would issue long protective orders without even hearing evidence of real family violence. The supposed judicial watchdogs know it's happening. It has become a forum for people who want to shop for a protective order, who come to Houston for the reason to get a protective order from Barbara Stalder. Even the Judicial Conduct Commission has publicly reprimanded Judge Stalder. A lawyer was shackled to the jury box, and that gets you just a reprimand?
She was then removed off the bench. The voters of Harris County eventually elected somebody else, Judge Diane Curvey. And for those that have been following me know that Judge Diane Curvey has tried to hold members of the public in contempt for exercising their First Amendment right to view their judiciary at work. And so that's their First Amendment right to go into those courthouses, because the courthouses shall remain open so that the public has access to them. So for those that don't know, when Judge Barbara Stalder was removed from the bench by the voters, she went to AVDA. Scrolling through their page, you see staff contacts and you see Barbara Stalder, managing attorney for Harris County. So let me just recap. She was a sitting judge that was removed by the voters of Harris County for oppressing people, and then goes to AVDA to aid victims of domestic violence. It's funny how somebody who was abusing people goes back to a 501c that's supposed to help people that are dealing with domestic violence. So this is ex-judge of the 280th District Court, Barbara Stalder. And this is why I'm making this video, because I think it's funny. So let's read a little about ex-judge Barbara Stalder. Barbara J. Stalder was elected as judge of the 280th Family Violence Protective Order Court in November of 2018. Prior to the election, Barbara worked in a private practice where she represented survivors of domestic violence, mediated divorces and custody disputes, and was appointed as an amicus in high conflict custody matters. Barbara was also a staff attorney at AVDA from 2006 to 2008, where she represented men, women, and children in family violence protective orders and family law matters. Now, I know some people in Harris County that are of men that have gone to AVDA and have been rejected. The way that Barbara Stalder was handing out protective orders in the 280th court was like candy. 94% of all of the protective orders that came before her court were granted. She joined the U of H Law Center Civil Legal Clinic as a supervising attorney clinical professor, where she spent 8 years supervising law students in a variety of civil matters, including family violence, divorce, and custody matters. Barbara began her legal career as a distinguished Equal Justice Works Fellows, where she created a nonprofit organization representing children in abuse, neglect, and family violence cases. Barbara completed her term of office as the judge of the 280th in December of 2022 and joined AVDA as a managing attorney of the Houston office in February of 2023. So this just tells us that she was with AVDA before and after she was on that bench. So this is where it gets interesting. So the other day, somebody sent me a piece of paper and told me to read it, that it's public information, and I have it. This is a service from the U.S. Marshals because some people decided to sue her for the things that she did while she was in office, and she was oppressing people. And so let's go ahead and read it, shall we? So proof of service, and this is Federal Rules of Civil Procedure form for the proof of service, and it says, "I returned the summons unexecuted. Miss Stalder refused service." Let's keep reading. First endeavor, 826. Looks like 04, but he probably meant 24 at 10:30 a.m. Spoke face to face with Miss Stalder through glass window at AVDA, 1001 Texas Street, Suite 600, Houston, Texas 77002. Gives the phone number. Miss Stalder refused service by staying behind the receptionist, throwing her hands in the air and shaking her head no. Also said no very loudly and very fast several times while walking away to the back of the office out of sight. Deputy Simon left his contact info with the receptionist and was informed to give it to Miss Stalder. As of 8:30-24, Miss Stalder has not reached out or tried to contact Deputy Simon. So the abuser doesn't want to own up to her mistakes. And this is this man's First Amendment right to bring his complaints before the judiciary. So when you're trying to serve somebody and they're still refusing service, is that harassment? A lot of these domestic violence attorneys, they like to say that when you're serving somebody, you're harassing them. And I don't understand that, because it was the same thing that they accused me of doing. I was harassing my ex by trying to legally serve her court documents in which I have to use a process server. So this is how domestic violence attorneys like to switch it up on people. And what I mean by switching up is that when you go to court, you can almost expect that a domestic violence attorney, lawyer, somebody who's an advocate for domestic violence will switch it up and say that you're harassing them by using a legal process in order to summon someone to your court hearing as provided by law. These men and women that are filing federal lawsuits on ex-Judge Barbara Stalder have their constitutional right to redress their government. And by doing that, they have the right to file and have that person processed by the federal rules of procedure. Now, I'm sorry that Barbara Stalder is being a bad sport and she's evading service. But as a judge, as an attorney, you know you can't evade service. And I just think it's hypocritical that someone who once oppressed people from the bench, and it's heavily documented, she's been sanctioned, she's been admonished by the SCJC. It's just funny how now she uses dirty lawyer tricks to evade service. Tell me what you think in the comments below.